For those with good taste.
What is up, tasties and taste heads? Welcome back to another movie review. I guess the real question is, for you, Dave, was he so fine that he blew your mind?
I mean, 18 was, maybe.
All right. All right. 17 didn't do it for you?
Yeah.
He likes a bad
The
boy.
first 16 weren't it either? Oh. Mickey 17, ladies and gentlemen. Mickey 17. Dave's most looked forward to movie of the year?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And that's where we got to start with you, man. I like, we got to see where you're feeling, how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and who you were feeling.
And when?
Yeah, when did you feel it? I don't
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it was my most anticipated movie. I didn't try not to hype it up as all that much. I just thought it was an extremely interesting idea and plot when I first saw the trailer. I don't know. It was okay.
What did this guy direct before this? I need to figure out.
Parasite.
Okay, and is that where because I think all dating back to that episode we did where we talked about the 2025 movie preview, I always thought it was a bit like not odd because it has a good cast. Is this like was it the Robert Pattinson thing though? Is it the director? Like what made this the most hyped thing for you? Because it does seem still like it'd be a top 10, but maybe not the top one, you know?
I don't know. Yeah, it was just a mixture of the cast, the director, and I just thought it was a very interesting, like, sci-fi story where I don't really feel like we get all that much, like, sci-fi out nowadays outside of just, like, superhero or, like, Star Wars movies.
Yeah, the genre I could see definitely doing that for you. Is this the most sci-fi thing, maybe outside of like Megalopolis that we've seen in the past few years?
I mean,
I'm being generous with Megalopolis,
yeah.
by the way. Like, you know, who knows what genre that movie actually fell
You
into?
haven't watched Companion yet, have you?
No, but like, I guess we could spit. But I guess my point, and I didn't see it. I was going to say though, like, we got that other movie.
Oh, Afraid?
Yeah, like and there was a Megan Fox movie that's on Netflix right now. Like the AI robot shit is kind of like done to death, I think, at this point, maybe a little bit. Where this is like true sci-fi, and not only in the sense of like the plot. I feel like the feeling of the movie, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but like this movie, the biggest issue is also the biggest thing that's going to contribute, I think, to the people who are true fans of the genre. For a casual, I think this style of movie is a little bit dry. It's a little bit slow. And I think that that's where maybe it's a little tough to get into this movie for a casual person. But I think if you're like a hardcore sci-fi person, this is kind of the type of movie you are signing up for in a way that's built more on world building than it is on actual like action scenes and stuff, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the movie did a great job for the most part, like building characters. I think there was a lot of just like unique character choices, but I think where this movie really strived was not in the sci-fi aspect. I think it was more so the comedy aspect where they hit a lot of the notes that they wanted to hit, but the sci-fi story and story overall was kind of just dry and bland and a little bit predictable.
It was like a sci-fi movie's bordering on like satire. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you mentioned a movie to me after we saw this, Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Is a similar theme in terms of movies where that's kind of a satirical look at like the end of the world, right? Or something.
Yeah. Where the world leadership is basically just a bunch of idiots and, you know, just basically ignoring what's happening around them to kind of just further their goals while everybody else is just like, yeah, no, we're gonna die.
It's a little close to home, doesn't it?
Well, so here's what I was going to ask, and this is where I think this came up with me and Dave talking about this is like, in the grander scheme of things right now, I think I might be starting to get a little burnt out on this feeling that every political figure in a movie is going to have like, if not outright be a Trump mockery, is going to have certain things that they're just taking from it. And maybe it's just
There was
like,
some points when he was talking.
Well,
Where outright
this
sounded
wasn't
like
this wasn't like, he wasn't playing Trump, but there was mannerisms. Like I told Dave, like there was the hand, he did the hand signals, he did the weird dance moves, even the cadence at times when he spoke seemed very deliberate, but just enough to where like you noticed it, but he wasn't like
outwardly being that. Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just I've seen other stuff recently has done this, and I can't talk about one of them because I think it'll spoil stuff, but like I just think I might be getting played out a little bit on the great. Like we know he's the fucking president. We know that like 90% of the people in Hollywood that are making movies about him or making it making fun of him, and like who like dude, just like I don't care about your agenda one way or another. So like I just don't want it to take away from the movies to a point, and I think it's almost too obvious at this point that it's being done, you know? Maybe it started with like Saturday Night Live too, just like running those jokes into the ground and running that stuff into the ground a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think a large problem is like it's a very polarizing topic, and like I think when you're creating media, it's hard to like stay away from it, and so it ends up being present in a lot of the things we see.
Do you think the problem though with a lot of these movies right now that are doing these things, because like wasn't even I mean I guess going back was like Brave New World, did that teeter on any lines there?
I don't think so.
No. Okay, I can't remember anymore. It's too long ago. But I guess like does it create a dated formula? You know, like are these movies that or TV shows that are doing that going to feel very much of their time? Like how does this type of thing age 10 years from now? Like when somebody watches Mickey 17, do they even notice that that's what it was playing off of? Like does that stuff even matter, or is that going to just stand with that movie and it's going to diminish it? I don't know.
I think it was light enough to where like 10 years from now people might not even draw that distinction.
Yeah. Do you think so, Dave?
I don't know. We'll see where we're at in 10 years.
It's a good point. Yeah, I think I didn't know anything coming into this. You had kind of explained it to me, Dave, and I think I was more worried about the plot coming into it than what it turned out to be. I liked where it really mainly focused on the two versions of Mickey, although you kind of met several different ones throughout it. I thought Robert Pattinson was the standout part of this movie. Easily for me.
Yeah.
I thought there was times where he's acting against himself, where I like sounds corny, but like maybe like it was almost like I was in awe. Like I was like, holy shit, like this dude's really fucking good because he's playing two completely
different personalities,
polarizing, and it's believable on both ends. And like, and I had pointed out the voice thing to Dave because I had read an article with like Pattinson talking about how he like intentionally changes his voice for a lot of roles. And initially, Mickey 17's voice kind of bothered me a little bit.
But then you hear Mickey 18 and you're like, oh.
It kind of grew on me. And then, the contrast to Mickey 18's tone and like the way he handled himself. And I really, really loved that part of it. I mean, amongst the other characters that I think were like unique and because of the length of the movie got to be pretty fleshed out for the most part. But he by far to me stood out.
Yeah.
In this.
I can't think of any really other like standout performances, but I do agree with that one.
I mean, yeah, but playing like the weird, like I don't even know how to describe it, like snivelly version as Mickey 17, definitely like changed his voice, and it was a lot like just kind of higher and like I don't know, more scared and like frightened. And then obviously had a lot more confidence and anger as Mickey 18. I mean, I think you touched on him a little bit earlier, but like I think Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette both played like I don't know, just a really good like parody-esque version of just like kind of rulers, and thought they were pretty funny. One performance I didn't care for was Stephen Wen or Yoon. Yeah, I didn't like him or his character.
I thought we just didn't get enough of him for how good of an actor he is. I thought we would have gotten more of him because I don't think what was your issue with him?
It was boring. Anytime he was on the screen or like whatever, that whole storyline with like the loan shark, it was just like I don't know, kind of didn't hit right with me. Didn't really care. And then I guess just like his overall character, where it's like it's supposed to be like Mickey's best friend, but like ultimately like doesn't care about the guy.
But I think it fits the type of character
So,
that Mickey
Yeah, exactly.
is.
It speaks more to Mickey, where like
Yeah.
Mickey thinks they're best friends, but even from the very beginning, they tell you this is just a guy that was taking advantage of him.
Yeah, like that. Like I think we've seen that type of character in movies before. That is like I think it's very. His character reminds me of like Bubble Boy, Jake
Oh.
Gyllenhaal's Bubble Boy a bit, like comically unaware and just wants to be friends with everybody, kind of thing. Like I don't know, like accepting of like I think to his point, like to the point, like that character for him was taking advantage of him, and he was kind of just a lackey to him. But like that guy just. Mickey wants companionship. And this person is going to keep him around because he needs him, but Mickey's not going to see it that way because he's looking for the positive. Even look at the way he saw his significant other throughout this whole movie, right? Like he saw her, he put her on a pedestal and didn't see any of her flaws until Mickey 18 was there. And he was like, wait, like, this isn't, he's nothing like me. Why do you like him? And like, she's significantly more aggressive, and he starts noticing those things, like, I don't know. I think he was just unaware. I did want to talk a little bit about Mickey, the character, before any of this happens, because I think that's more. Is this one of those movies that like it has the plot of you're kind of bringing up that Steve Yeun that plot was stupid to a point. It's like that plot only exists to get him into space, right? Yeah. And it's like, and it's weird because it's not even like a main plot. It's really a B plot point, but it drives the A plot point to ever exist. And it's kind of him getting there. But like, what was, I don't understand what his character was before he ever went to space, really. Like,
well, they were trying to start that business, right? I forget what it was. Macarons.
Yeah, he just wanted to sell macarons.
Yeah, and so they took a loan out, failed at the business, and then had to try and get away.
It'd be nice if we saw him making macaroons, maybe, or like a macaroon business.
We didn't even see the shop.
Yeah, like where were the macaroons? I want to know.
Or just
like,
a T-shirt.
Why did he think his was?
Or
so
like
good?
if that was such a passion of his, like he should have just been like had a little like bakery on like the fucking ship, like somehow just scrapping together, like
making macaroons still.
Yeah.
But I think that was part
macaroons.
I think that was part of like the way they told the story was like. He didn't give a shit about the macaroons. It was just Steven Yeun's character told him like, "Hey, this is a good idea. Let's do it. We'll get rich."
Yeah, and he just went along for the ride.
Yeah,
and trusted him for it. Right. Yeah. I guess on like a gripe side of it for me, one I brought up to you, Dave, was like I did think a little bit of, as much as I enjoyed the Mickey 17 and 18, like Robert Pattinson's performance in both, I thought 18. Very like almost too quickly went from being one character to being a different character. Like he was very aggressive and an asshole to a certain point, and then it just seems like he abruptly decided to not be an asshole anymore.
All of a sudden be righteous,
and like selfless and stuff like that. And we never really got explicitly like told what was the thing that changed
was the turning
him.
point.
Yeah, like where did he decide to change? Because truthfully, like what we saw of that character in the bedroom and prior to that when they're fighting, he's literally trying to kill the other version of him. What makes you believe that he would have stopped that character from killing him in the cage? Like, why would that version of him felt bad for that?
I saw no flip.
Other than the only thing I could maybe give a pass to it is like, it was more about him hating Steven Yeun's character than it was about him saving 17. Do we know Steven Yeun's character's name, by the way, so I can stop calling him that?
Timo.
Was that why? Is it that he had shown up to that point that it was more about getting vengeance against the people that wrong? He hates the people that are doing the things wrong to Mickey 17 just as much as he hates Mickey 17 for letting them be done to him.
Yeah. I mean, because I guess in a way, like he's doing that to himself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like, does he see the worst versions of himself when he looks at 17? The same way 17 would look at 18 and be like,
those are the worst versions.
Yeah, I would never have those things in me, but they're the best things of them would be somewhere
in between,
in the middle, right? But so I can kind of explain away a little bit why he helped him get out of the cage, but then like to get out to the outside and the way he kind of handles the approach of, even when it's like, I could see a world when alien or whatever that would be on that planet is saying like, hey, kill one and return my baby, that he isn't just kind of saying to himself like, I'll just kill 17, right, and just get it over with.
Yeah.
But I think that was my hardest part of the whole thing, is like they spent a long time with building these two characters. It's such a long like movie for that, and it just kind of happens.
I think there's another like kind of just dropped plot throughout the movie, and it's the other girl, Kai.
Yes.
Yeah, so like they introduce her, and then
sporadically, weirdly,
you have like the little romantic tension between the two of them once like he comes back, and then all of a sudden you have the big reveal where she walks in, finds both of them. Oh, there's duplicates.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this whole conversation between her and Nasha, where she's like, all right, you know what? I won't tell, but like I get 17 and you get 18. And then 18 just walks by with the gun to go assassinate the president, and you
don't see her again.
Yeah,
why wasn't she in that room?
Why wasn't she part of like that end fight and like helping anybody out?
Especially since it's weird because she very much is in and out, because she's like with that girl who dies.
I think she did follow them to that room to stop the assassination, but she wasn't there after.
Yeah, no, to that room. But I mean, throughout the entire like mission, when all the aliens were outside, nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's right. Like she's really only in like 5 scenes of the whole movie when you really think about it, right? She's in the scene of them with the girl getting killed. She shows up again in the dinner scene. Then they have the scene in her room, and then the whole follow up with Nasha, and then you really you don't see her again until you just get a throwaway
at the ceremony,
scene at the ceremony with her kissing another girl, which was weird, because it was never like, okay, I guess she was just like, I don't want Mickey 17 anymore because 18's dead, so like I'll just give him back to Nasha. Like,
I don't get it.
That was a weird one because it also was like, it kind of made sense to me when she would shoot, like, because to give both of them love interests, that like that character would then come back into play, made sense from a story standpoint. So it didn't bother me. Like I was not attached to the character at that point one way or another because it's pretty irrelevant. But even to a certain point, like she doesn't always follow, like her character doesn't really follow like the same like thought process to a point, because she has like a ton of sympathy for Mickey, but then very quickly will turn on Mickey. And like, I don't know, like it felt like she was by the book, but then not by the book because she had sympathy for like the people or the aliens or like whatever,
I just feel like the whole emotional story of this movie was very sloppy and didn't really draw me in. Didn't really make me care about any of the characters too much.
Maybe except for 17? You didn't care about 17?
Not even really, no. I wasn't too bought in on this movie, to be honest.
Did you care about 17?
Yeah.
I think I did.
It was the main character. Definitely wanted the same one.
I wanted to see him succeed. I didn't really care that much.
You know what's crazy? I think I was more. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think I was more locked in on the relationship between him and the creature.
Yeah,
the creeper.
Yeah,
than him and Nasha. Like,
I thought the creeper was like they were interesting characters. They were a bit weird, and they reminded me a little bit of that movie Love and Monsters or whatever with Dylan.
Sprouse.
Yeah, no. Not Sprouse.
Oh. I have no idea what movie you're talking about.
It's fine. It's a good movie.
O'Brien?
Dylan O'Brien, yeah. But it kind of had a little bit of that vibe to me with those monsters in it a little bit. I thought they were like a fun kind of build. I like the hive mind element of it, that like they could feel when things happened to the other ones and that they were all kind of her children. Did you guys immediately know that it was helping him, right? Like that was fairly obvious when it was pushing him up over the
and
hill and stuff.
And that's kind of where I say like the movie was like super predictable, where like as soon as that happened, I was just like, oh, okay. Like
they're not violent. Yeah.
They're not violent, but there will be like conflict between the idiot president and these peaceful creatures. One more just like really weird decision that had no impact, but it was just really weird that it was there. Guy dressed in a pigeon costume for the entire movie.
Like, that was actually great. Like sports mascot style.
Like did nothing. Like it, but like was just a prominent, like just like, I don't know, like messenger for the president.
Yeah.
So weird.
They didn't really explain what the mascot would be for. Like, what was because I don't mind the mascot being around. It is funny to a point, and it's just it is to your point. The things that work the most in the movie are probably just like the weird comedy bits. And it's kind of like that, like unintentional, like it's their humor to a point.
Yeah.
I wish that we got a little background. Like, is that a team from that current world? I don't know. It's weird. I guess let's get into like final thoughts. Do we have performance like box office? I don't think this did well. I think it bombed. If I'm not incorrect on that. I don't think it has great scores either.
Letterboxd seems to like it.
Thought it was like 3.3.
It's done about
3.7, which is on the higher end.
It's done about 20 million so far.
What was the budget?
Probably a lot higher.
I thought it was 100, 120. I think that was the issue.
118.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be tough for that movie to make the money back. I do think the length is a real fucking issue, man. Like, I know when we sat down to watch it, Dave, and I saw 2 hours and 20 minutes, I was like, whoa, we're locking in. Because, like, especially this year has been weirdly short length movies. Like, everything's been about
that
an
hour
and
and a half to hour 45 minute
pocket. Yeah, that like I haven't had that like kind of grinded out movie yet, it feels like, this year. And this one, I didn't really feel like it was so much grinded out because I thought it was like paced well enough that
it was well paced, but again, I just think my
it
lack
wasn't
of
enough.
Interest in it made it feel long anyways.
Yeah, for sure. That was the first takeaway I said to you, Dave. Was like that movie felt long. Like it definitely felt long. So I guess final thoughts. Yeah, I'm kind of, I think we're all sort of in the same place on this, where like I don't think it was a bad movie, but at the end of the day, like it's not a movie that has any rewatchability, and I think that's one of the things when I'm looking at rating stuff, especially like last year became so difficult the further into the year to kind of differentiate shit for me and what I was giving scores for and what actually matters. And I think
comparing,
I think one of the things that's going to push stuff to be top of my list this year and to be like higher 3.5, 4.5 stars is like gonna be my desire to watch these things again. Like, am I going to be excited to go home and when this gets put onto a Netflix or something like that, am I going to watch this again? It is going to be one of those big driving factors. So like, I think to a certain critical element, I'm going to rate it a certain way. So like this, I think I gave 2.5 stars because to a critical limit, like element, I thought everybody did their part well. And I thought there was enough here to make it like a good enough movie. But I think there's little to no rewatchability to this. I think it's a bit too long to where it's very much a be on my cell phone the whole time if I was at my house watching it.
Yeah, I just think it's way too mid in almost every aspect. Like, none of the comedy was really that funny. Any of the romance was just kind of whatever. I found visually, I think it was pretty good. Robert Pattinson was pretty good, but like aside from that, nothing else really wowed me with this movie.
Hottest threesome since Challengers?
No, it actually felt like a very cheap imitation of Challengers that didn't hold the same tension or...
Would it have been weird if she was getting boned by both of them? Would that have been a weird twist of this movie?
I thought we were...
I was honestly...
I thought we were hand job city for both of them.
Honestly, like, it felt like... It felt like such an imitation of Challengers that I was waiting for like the boner smack.
Or her to make them kiss, to make the two Mickeys become one. What do they become, Mickey 35?
So
stoked.
I definitely, like, I came out of this higher than you guys just because of anticipation. I wanted to see it. I still think it was pretty good despite its flaws. I have it currently as my number one movie for the year at 3.5 stars, but ultimately, like, I definitely see this falling like behind, like in the back half of my scores, like at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I don't think it'll be right around like mid, and honestly that 3.5 will probably drop, but as for right now, that's where I have it.
I have it 7th at 2.5 stars.
So I thought I was teetering between that. I think anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 is going to be a pretty fair score on this movie. Because I'm definitely with you. That's where I say, like, I think I'm kind of with both of you, where I can appreciate a lot of aspects of the movie. Yeah, for sure.
When I was rating it, to be fair, like I don't I'm kind of in the same camp as you, right? Where I could see where you would give it 3.5 stars, but my enjoyment of the movie has to become a factor. I think it was a fine movie, but I had to kind of dock it.
Exactly.
Because
I have it at 7 as well, actually. So,
right.
but I have it at 7 out of 30. One. Well, it might drop because I didn't rank one of the ones that I've seen. Sorry.
It's 7 out of 10 for me.
Okay, I have 13 on my list, but it's really 7 out of 12 right now because I have to rank that 13th one. It's just
I see.
Let's see. Mine's 1 out of 7. I've only seen 7.
So so there's some movies we have overlap. Like I think the most comparable one, maybe Dante, me and you can talk about this real quick because I know Dave didn't like the movie. I think the one I was trying to figure out was this versus Den of Thieves was the most comparable to me because they're both the 2 longest movies I've seen this year. I think they struggle with some of the same things from like a length standpoint. And maybe you had similar complaints with that movie that we have with this movie in some ways. So I was looking at those 2 and kind of saying like they're approximately the same to me. Which one did I enjoy more? And I lean towards enjoying Den of Thieves a little bit more.
I don't know. I wouldn't compare them because what I didn't like about Den of Thieves was that there was no character growth outside of the 2 main characters. Where I feel like in Mickey 17, you got a ton of character information out of.
Well, but you could. But I think that's where one unfair comparison in that, like you're talking about character growth to a sequel as opposed to an entry movie, where like you could say we got all of that same growth that you got from Mickey 17 in Den of Thieves. You know, I like that. I think that's the hardest part to compare. I was more looking at like length of movie, some pacing stuff throughout it. But I enjoy one style of movie a little bit more as opposed to the other. Like, but again, like any take is fair because I don't think either movie is perfect for that matter, you know? And probably reasonably sit on the same scale of like, I could see Den of Thieves being probably a 2 to 3.5 movie on most people's rankings, right?
Yeah.
Did we have any like Letterboxd or anything like that? Did anybody looked at any of that stuff?
No.
For reviews, we got like a few minutes here. Maybe we squeeze 1 or 2 in if there's some funny ones.
Let's see.
I'll tell you, I'm not seeing any 1 stars, and usually those things are sitting pretty high up on this list. Everything's 3 stars or higher.
Yeah.
This is kind of impressive. Like, okay, here's my first 2-star. I was hoping to never have to sit through some corny Terry Gilliam-ass alleged satire like this ever again, so I'm extra disappointed to see Bong picking up that particular football. Profoundly irritating. So they didn't like they clearly didn't like the political aspects of the movie. I mean, dude, like the Letterboxd reviews are all super positive on this, from what I can see. I did just find a 1 star. It's from Supreme Lemon. They just said Hollywood is driving Korean films into a certain industry or relying on marketing principles instead of art. Okay, just like too thought-provoking for me. I like funny. I like my Letterboxd reviews to be humorous. I don't like when they go too serious.
A lot of these are way too political.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I guess that's what the movie was looking for in a way, though. Huh? They didn't really tell you that though going into it.
No.
That's interesting. No. Let us know what you guys thought. Is this 2.5 or is this 3.5? Did you not like the satirical elements? Was it incorrectly promoted? I do think that's one thing we didn't really talk about, but now thinking about it retrospectively, it is interesting. They never brought up the political aspect, I think, in the promotion.
I mean, I don't even think I knew Mark Ruffalo was in this movie, honestly.
No, I don't know.
I didn't.
The other thing we didn't talk about, really, but like his body hair when they were printing him out, bothered the shit out of me. It was like that doesn't look right.
No, it just looked glued on.
Yeah, it was like but I think that's him. I was like, that's not natural looking, but I'm pretty sure that's him.
Interesting.
It bothered me.
Huh.
Did it bother you guys? Let us know and make sure to drop a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned. Till next time, we bid you fale adieu. Peace out.
Peace.
For those with good taste.